life could be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate. We think too much and feel too little. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness. Without these qualities, life will be violent. And all will be lost, all will be lost. Do not despair, the hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people, Let us all unite! Let us fight for a new world, to do away with greed. Now let us fight to free the world, to fulfill that promise. Let us all unite!
Thank you, Jackie. Okay, Laura Ricky here, Woodstock Deputy Supervisor, calling to order the Woodstock Townboard meeting of Tuesday, June 9th, 2015. We have several topics on the agenda. We have announcements first. I'll let you know, we have a lot of interested people here. I'll let you know the flow of the meeting. Announcements are first. We have a short presentation. We have the public be heard, the beginning of that. But when we get to the resolutions for the smart meters, we do plan to let public speak once the two resolutions are read. So you don't need to feel like you have to speak during the public be heard time between 7 and 7:10. So if you're not talking smart meter, you might want to talk right at the beginning for public be heard. If you are talking smart meter, you will get a chance to speak after both resolutions are read. So it's up to you where you want to speak, but I want to let people know that there will be public be heard also after both resolutions are read.
Jack, you should have the list.
Public be heard, Weston Blue Lock.
Good evening. My name is Weston Blelock. I'm with Stop Smart Meter in Woodstock, New York. Thank you for having this town board. I'm speaking on the resolution, that's the People's Resolution. One of the compromises we made was to eliminate, there was 3 different types of measuring devices we were going to, there were going to be gas meters, water meters, and utility meters that were under discussion in our resolution. But as a point of compromise, Stop Smart Meters said it was okay to let go on the gas meters. We don't have gas meters in the town of Woodstock, so that was moved. But we do have water meters, and the reason why we let go for the moment on the water meters is that the town said that they'd spent hundreds of thousands of dollars installing smart meters. However, these meters are just as dangerous as the utility meters. Sometimes they work in bubble up mode, which means that they, as you go around to bond and read them, they pop up for the reader. But I myself am a stakeholder. I have a water meter and I have a small reader, Coronet, which I've taken up close to the FCC device, and it does emit transmission. So it is throwing a small toxic fume into my house. And so I'd like to have the town board revisit this issue at another time, but not tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve Romick.
Hi, my name is Steve Romine. I'm with Stop Smart Meters, Woodstock, New York. And I want to say that as the town board contemplates the 2 resolutions concerning the use of analog meters in place of digital meters, one needs to ask, why would you need any resolution at all? The answer to that question lies squarely at the feet of a corporation called Central Hudson Fortis, our utility provider. Unfortunately, they have been operating without the consumer's health and well-being in mind. This is not something new among big corporations, as they operate under the main goal of bigger profits. The problem is that they are doing that at the expense of our health. Many people have been finding this out as Central Hudson's new digital meter installations have triggered health consequences for many individuals, including myself, and I am not electro-hypersensitive. Contrary to the false claims that digital meters are not harmful by Central Hudson. All of us who have been affected have started groups around the state and nation protesting our health being affected by these digital meters. Not all notice the effects, but enough do, especially the more vulnerable. Children, pregnant women, and elderly, and the EHS sufferers, and thus the need for a resolution curbing the installation of digital meters. That being said, it is imperative that we pass the resolution that affords the most protection for the public. I lost my spot. For the most protection for the public. Clearly, that is Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York resolution, also called the People's Resolution, as 800 people have endorsed it by signing the petition. We ask the town board to respect and acknowledge the will of the people whom they were elected to represent and adopt the People's Resolution.
Hello, my name is Raji Nevin. I live in Woodstock, New York. At the last town board meeting, we were told that the Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York group would have a part in revising the 2 draft proposals that were presented with regard to a resolution petitioning the New York State Public Service Commission to order Central Hudson to allow utility consumers to retain an analog utility meter and/or to replace any digital meter previously installed, transmitting or non-transmitting, with a remanufactured ANSI-approved analog utility meter with no fees or penalties. Approximately 1 week ago, we still had not heard anything from the Woodstock Town Board, and thus Steve Weston and I began to submit questions and suggestions to the Town Board via emails. The Town Board had posted both resolutions, Ken Kansas and Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York resolutions on their website. However, most questions and suggestions were then ignored by the Town Board members, even after we made it abundantly clear that we wanted to work with them. What became very clear was that the Town Board had made a decision to put their attention and focus on making changes to what has been referred to as Kansas resolution, and simply disregarded what we know and believe to be some very important points in our resolution. We stated this in our emails to the Town Board. Tonight we come to the Town Board with over 800 signatures on a petition, which states, "We, the undersigned, implore the Woodstock Town Board to adopt the electromechanical analog utility meter opt-out with no fees resolution prepared by the Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York group. This resolution requires that the Woodstock Town Board makes an official request to the New York Public Service Commission to order Central Hudson to provide refurbished analog utility meters to its ratepayers at no cost at the request of the ratepayer. It is clear what the people of Woodstock want, your constituents. We stand in solidarity, and we the people are in favor of passing the Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York resolution as is. Our reason for passing our resolution is clear. We know that our resolution has no loopholes that Central Hudson Forest can jump through. I have 2 seconds. And once our resolution has been submitted, whereas the resolution being submitted to us by the Town Board does have very clear loopholes which cannot be ignored. Thank you.
You're not up.
I thought I was number 4.
You're number 5.
Whoa.
Chris Finley.
But we all want to hear what you have to say.
My name is Chris Finley, and I'm a resident and a ratepayer in Woodstock, New York. I'm here tonight to support the People's Resolution that requests a free analog opt-out. We have over 800 signatures from the people here in Woodstock who agree with us, and that is why we are calling it the People's Resolution. I urge the Town Board to pass this version of the resolution. The first thing I need to say is that 3 minutes is totally insufficient time to explain what I feel needs to be included in the final resolution and why I believe it needs to be included. This could only be achieved with a face-to-face meeting between the Town Board members and members of the Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York group. This face-to-face meeting would have to be in private and would have to include several of the Town Board members rather than just one, as was the case since the last Town Board meeting. And it would also have to include several Stop Smart Meters members of the group. This all basically boils down to giving a utility customer the option to request analog meters, new or refurbished, with no fee. However, the People's Resolution specifically makes certain that there are no loopholes for Central Hudson to exploit, whereas we find the resolution that Ken Panzer and Kathy Margarelli has presented has loopholes that will be exploited by Central Hudson. We need to cover all bases in our final resolution. Ken Panzer's resolution covers some of the bases, although there is ambiguity respecting digital transmitting and analog meters that needs to be cleared up. We need to beef up your definitions list. My first suggestion is, like I said, is for the board members to collaborate more in a respectful, face-to-face manner with members of Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York, rather than simply emailing each other to death, which creates a lot of confusion and ill feeling. If anyone has been following the email thread between Ken Panza and Stop Smart Meters Group, the failure of this type of communication has been painfully obvious, especially in the last 6 days. I suggest we go back to good old face-to-face communication, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have 4 quick comments. First comment, I want to thank you all, firstly, for considering this resolution. So that's number 1, a sincere thank you. I think it's very crucial, very important. The second thing, I have 1 comment on each of your resolutions. On resolution 2, you keep mentioning smart meters. I'm not going to read it, but you use the terminology smart meters. In fact, everybody's using that terminology. But if you go to Central Hudson's website, I don't know if anybody has done that, there's a question here, question and answer. Does Central Hudson use smart meters? The answer is no. So if you talk about loopholes, they claim no, smart meters are not approved for installation in New York. Central Hudson uses ERT meters. So if you talk about loopholes, I would avoid the terminology smart meters because Central Hudson claims they don't use it. The third thing is, on resolution 1, it appears that you are sending a letter to the New York Public Service Commission. But the elephant in the room, I believe, is Central Hudson that's getting no letters. Now, I'm kind of new at this whole game, but I do know that the train has already left the station with Central Hudson. They have already done, according to their website, 40% with the so-called ERT meters, not what they call smart meters.
10 seconds.
So I think that the board should, if Central Hudson comes on my property and I don't want anything but what I have, which is the analog meter, what's the process that I have to say, get off my property, you can't do it? Just what is that process if the town board could address that either in the minutes or on the website?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyway, okay, so we're going to resolutions, anything, okay. So as a reminder, as deputy supervisor, I don't make a motion, nor do I second a motion, so it'll be up to the 4 elected board members who will make motions and second motions and vote, by the way. Anyway, the first, we have 2 quick resolutions, and then we'll move into the smart meter. The first resolution, be it resolved to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2015 Section 284 agreement with the Woodstock Highway Superintendent.
Second.
Who's going to make that motion?
I'll make the motion, Joe.
So Jay was going to read Resolution 2 first. Ken was going to, after that, read Resolution 1. After both resolutions are read, we will allow public comment, 2 minutes for each person who wants to speak, and then we will vote, and we will vote in the opposite order that the resolutions were read. So we're calling Resolution 2, which Jay had posted first, so Jay will get to read first.
Whereas, the title is Resolution for Electromechanical Analog Utility Meter Opt-out with No Fees. Whereas, on June 18, 2013, the Woodstock Town Board adopted Resolution 190-2013, supporting New York State Senate Resolution number S3379 and Assembly Resolution number A-7799 that would give electricity consumers the option to not have smart meters replace their electromechanical analog utility meters and would mandate that there shall not be a fee to consumers who elect not to use smart meters. And whereas on December 13, 2013, the Ulster County Legislature adopted Resolution number 315, supporting the passage of New York State Senate Resolution S-3379 and Assembly Resolution A-7799 entitled, "An Act to Amend the Public Service Law in Relation to Providing Consumers the Option to Elect Not to Use Transmitting Utility Meters." The legislature expressed support for action to be taken by the New York State Legislature to prohibit electric utility companies from forcing consumers to utilize smart meters, also known in the aforesaid legislation as transmitting utility meters. And whereas on January 25th, 2014, it was reported that Joel Tyner, Dutchess County legislator, introduced a resolution to support State Senate Resolution S-3379 and Assembly Resolution A-7799 that would allow electric customers to decline the installation of all transmitting utility meters. And whereas the intention of the Woodstock Town Board in its Resolution 190-2013, dated June 18, 2013, was to allow Woodstock residents to retain their electromechanical analog utility meter. Now we come to Section 1, definitions. And let me say that definitions are crucial, absolutely crucial. First definition, utility consumer, means New York State utility ratepayers and non-ratepayer occupants, including but not limited to renters, business owners, and any other consumer of electric utility services. The next one, utility provider, means an electric company, whether owned privately or publicly or by another utility provider or other third-party contractors / subcontractors for such purpose. Next one, electromechanical analog utility meter, means an electromechanical analog utility meters, ANSI approved, hereinafter referred to as analog utility meter, relating to or denoting a mechanical device that is electrically operated. This is a purely mechanical device using no electronic components, no switch mode power supply, no transmitter, no antenna, and no radio frequency emission. Transmitting smart digital utility meter means any metering device with electronic components and or any electric or battery operated meter that is capable of measuring, recording, and sending data from a utility consumer or member to a public utility, municipality, or cooperative or association in a manner utilizing one-way communication, two-way communication, or a combination of one-way and two-way communication with any entity or device. Common names include, but not limited to, AMR, ERT, AMI, LAN, network, bubble up, wake up, smart meter, and power line carrier PLC. Non-transmitting digital utility meter means the digital utility meter currently being offered with a fee to residential utility customers by Central Hudson. It is an electronic digital meter that is the basic platform for the advanced transmitting smart digital utility meter system. A meter that the utility provider can, at any time, without permission of the utility consumer, upgrade to be an advanced transmitting smart digital utility meter. It may or may not contain a transmitter. It does contain components and switch mode power supply, which creates excessive and unsafe amounts of dirty electricity. RF/MW means radio frequency microwave radiation. Dirty electricity means high frequency voltage transits created by switch mode power supply units installed in all digital utility meters. This form of electromagnetic field, EMF, has adverse biological effects on the human body. Trojan utility meter means a transmitting smart digital utility meter or any type of transmitter concealed under an analog utility meter face. Section 2, resolution. A resolution petitioning the New York State Public Service Commission to order Central Hudson, an electric utility provider, to allow utility consumers to retain an analog utility meter and/or to replace any digital meter previously installed, transmitting or non-transmitting, with a remanufactured ANSI-approved analog utility meter. Yeah, well, if that's for me, I'm out. Further, Central
With
Hudson.
no,
You left out
consent.
with no fees or penalties.
I didn't get there yet.
No, you were about to say it and then you got distracted.
I did.
It's okay, just.
The end of the first paragraph in section 2.
You started further that you haven't read with no fees.
Right,
Okay.
I know that. I read the first part of section 2, the resolution, which ended analog utility meter.
With no fees or penalties.
With no fees or penalties.
Uh-huh, well, in this copy, it's down further down, but thank you for catching it. It's not here on my copy. Further, Central Hudson shall provide utility consumer a 30-day written notice in advance of installing any type of digital meter at no additional charges, monthly or otherwise. In addition, Central Hudson must fully inform utility consumers of their rights to retain their analog utility meter. If a utility consumer decides to retain their analog utility meter, they will not incur any fees or penalties. Central Hudson will also allow utility consumer to request removal of a previously installed digital meter with a remanufactured ANSI-approved analog utility meter for any reason with no fees or penalties for such removal. Section 3, purpose. A, all utility consumers shall have the right to retain their analog utility meter at no cost. Each electric utility provider and the New York State Public Service Commission shall adhere to a no questions asked, no fee, and no time limit imposed by the utility provider for retaining an analog utility meter. B, electric utility providers shall maintain a reasonable supply of refurbished analog utility meters in stock for the opt-out program. C, where electric utility providers have already installed non-analog transmitting smart digital utility meters or non-transmitting digital utility meters, utility providers shall be required to replace installed transmitting smart digital utility meters or non-transmitting digital utility meters with remanufactured ANSI-approved analog utility meters within 1 week of the utility consumer's request. Each utility provider and the New York State Public Service Commission shall adhere to a no questions asked, no fee, and no time limit imposed by utility provider for reinstalling an analog utility meter. D, in the future, if the electric utility consumer's analog utility meter needs repair or has to be replaced for any reason, said utility consumer would have the right to a remanufactured ANSI-approved analog utility meter. E, to provide electric utility consumers with prior written notice indicating when a transmitting smart digital utility meter dash ERT or non-transmitting digital utility meter will be installed and inform them of their rights of refusal. F, electric utility providers shall be prohibited from penalizing or charging utility consumers for any of the above requests. Prohibited actions include, but are not limited to, interrupting or threatening to interrupt utility consumers or service or any other form of intimidation. G, the use of Trojan utility meters by electric utility providers shall be prohibited. Be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board adopts this resolution in its entirety, and furthermore, be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board petitions the Public Service Commission to implement this resolution in its entirety. And furthermore, be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board instructs the town clerk to send a certified copy of this resolution to the Honorable Kathy Bridges, Secretary of the New York State Public Service Commission, with the address, we don't need these. Be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board instructs the town clerk to send a certified copy of this resolution to the following individuals: Mike Hine, Ulster County Executive; John R. Paridi, Chairman, Ulster County Legislature; Assemblyman Kevin Cahill; New York State Senator George Amador; and Joel Tyner, Dutchess County Legislator.
I will second for the purpose of discussion.
Are we going to discuss it? But, well, I think we're
No,
going to read both.
we're
We're going to read.
No, say one at a time.
No, that's not what we're doing.
That's not what we're doing.
We're going to read both
And then discuss.
and then discuss.
Now, you're going to dilute this one. This is fresh in our minds. Why?
Well, you have
Very
it,
worried.
you have it in writing, so you can respond.
I disagree, but you're
Yeah, we'll have public comment. The public comment is not now. Public comment is when both when both resolutions are read, public comment. We had Ken was going to read resolution.
Well, I'll start with a little preamble like Jay did to sort of explain the background of this resolution. That began 2 years ago when Steve and Raj came to the town board and said their power had been severed by Central Hudson because they tried to replace their ERT analog smart meter with an analog meter. The town board passed a resolution. The Ulster County legislature passed resolutions petitioning the state to allow people to maintain their analog meters and not have to go with the smart meter. In October 2014, Central Hudson announced their ERT opt-out program, which gave people the ability to substitute an ERT meter for a digital meter without the transmitting, without the ERT capability. This opt-out, if you had an ERT meter, would cost you $46 to replace it, plus $6 a month. If you had an analog meter, they would put in a digital meter, it would only be $6 a month. There wouldn't be a single charge. About April, some residents came to the town board and said, you know, that's not good enough. We want to be able to keep our analog meters. The opt-out is confusing, the legal language in the contracts is unintelligible, and so they asked us to do something to allow them to keep their analog meters. There was a group that petitioned, that went to the PSC and said, what can we do? They suggested putting together a petition. I helped them write the petition. A petition was put together, 50 signatures were obtained. We sent a notarized copy of that petition to the PSC, and the PSC has acknowledged they have obtained or have received that petition. If this particular resolution is passed tonight, this resolution will become part of that PSC case. So I then put together a resolution for the town board, which was presented at the May 19th meeting, essentially with the two major components: be able to keep the analog meters and be able to replace any ERT installed meters with an analog meter. We did not discuss price in that resolution, and there was a lot of objection to that. So we tabled the motion, and now it's been reintroduced. Essentially, the big changes were the requirement to eliminate the one-time charge and the requirement to eliminate the monthly fees. We also added 2 definitions, which we borrowed and rewrote from Steve's resolution, and we did not include any technical information about analog meters. So let me, this particular version of resolution was released on May 30th. It was distributed to the town board. It's been up on the website. Many of you have gotten copies of it from me, and what I'm going to read is essentially the same, and just so Chris sees, I corrected the spelling.
Good, thank you.
So this should follow exactly what you're seeing in your minutes. A resolution petitioning New York State Public Service to order Central Hudson to allow customers to retain their analog, non-AMR meters under the terms of the AMR opt-out tariff 12.2, case 14M0196. Whereas on June 19, 2013, the Woodstock Town Board adopted Resolution 190-2013, supporting New York State Senate Resolution number S-3379, Assembly Resolution A-7799, that would give electricity consumers the option to not have smart meters replace their analog meters, and would mandate that there shall not be a fee to consumers who elect not to use smart meters. And whereas on December 13, 2013, the Ulster County Legislature adopted Resolution number 315, supporting the passage of New York State Senate Resolution number S-3379 and Assembly Resolution number A-7799, entitled An Act to Amend the Public Service Law in relation to providing consumers the option to elect not to use transmitting utility meters. The legislation expressed support for action to be taken by the New York State Legislature to prohibit electric utility companies from forcing consumers to utilize so-called smart meters, also known as the aforesaid legislation as transmitting utility meters. And whereas on January 25th, 2014, it was reported that Joel Tyner, Dutchess County Legislature, introduced a resolution to support State Senate Resolution number 7-3379 and Assembly Resolution A-7799 that would allow electric customers to decline the installation of transmitting utility meters. And whereas on May 22nd, 2014, Central Hudson filed a petition with the Public Service Commission requesting approval to establish tariff fees for residential customers who choose to opt out of using automatic meter reading AMR devices, in other words, ERT meters. The proposed tariffs would allow residential customers to opt out of using AMR devices and instead to have the company install and maintain non-AMR meters and manually read their meters through a bi-monthly in-person meter reads. And whereas on September 8, 2014, the Public Service Commission issued an order, case number 14-M-0196, approving the petition filed by Central Hudson, requesting to establish tariff fees for residential customers who choose to opt out of using automated meter reading AMR devices, ERT meters. And whereas on October 1st, 2014, Central Hudson Tariff 12.2, automatic meter reading opt-out, lease, 53.8, 53.9, and 5310, in case you're wondering what a leaf is, that's just page in the tariff, became effective and states that existing customers with an AMR meter and upon receipt of a fully executed application will have their meter changed to a digital, non-AMR equipped meter. The customer will be subject to a one-time meter charge, meter change fee, and the monthly non-AMR service fee. And whereas Central Hudson Tariff 12.2, automated meter reading AMR opt-out lease 53.8, 53.9, and 5310 states that an existing customer receiving service through a non-AMR analog equipped meter may execute and submit an application to request that service be continued through a non-AMR equipped meter. The customer will not be subject to the one-time meter charge fee, change fee, but will be subject to the monthly non-AMR service fee. And whereas Central Hudson Tariff 12.2, automated meter reading, AMR opt-out lease 53.8, 53.9, and 5310, regarding an existing customer receiving service through a non-AMR analog is ambiguous, a customer with a non-AMR meter may execute and submit an application to request that service be continued through a non-AMR equipped meter. The term non-AMR meter can refer to an analog non-AMR or a digital non-AMR. And whereas the Woodstock Town Board has received complaints from residents applying to retain their analog meters under the terms of the AMR opt-out tariff, being told by Central Hudson their analog meter would be replaced by a digital non-AMR meter. And whereas the intention of the Woodstock Town Board expressed in its resolution 190-213 dated June 18, 2013 was to allow Woodstock residents to retain their analog utility meter. Now that's the same as it was at the last meeting. The next sections are changed. Whereas a utility customer is defined as a Central Hudson Electric ratepayer, including but not limited to renters, business owners, and consumers. Whereas an electrical mechanical analog meter is defined as a device that measures the amount of electric energy consumed by a resident's business or electrically operated powered device, which operates by counting the revolutions of a non-magnetic but electrically conductive metal disc that rotates at a speed proportional to the power passing through the meter. Therefore, be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board petitions the Public Service Commission to amend New York State Public Service Order Case 14M0196, which ordered Central Hudson to provide an AMR meter opt-out and tariff to order Central Hudson to allow utility customers participating in the opt-out program to retain their installed electromechanical analog meters. The utility customer will not be subject to the one-time meter charge fee and will not be subject to the monthly non-AMR service fee. And furthermore, be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board petitions the Public Service Commission to amend New York State Public Service Order Case 14M-096, which ordered Central Hudson to provide an AMR meter opt-out and tariff to order Central Hudson to offer utility customers electromechanical analog meters as replacement for installed ERT AMR meters. The utility customer will not be subject to the one-time meter charge fee and will not be subject to the monthly non-AMR service fee. And furthermore, it be resolved the Woodstock Town Board instructs the town clerk to send a certified copy to Kathleen Burgess, and be resolved to send it to the other people that we previously listed.
Second. Oh,
So moved.
second, purpose of discussion.
Okay, so we're going to begin with discussion by those in attendance. 2 minutes, Jackie's going to do a 2-minute thing, so.
And actually, what we did, Laura, is we just went from row to row to row.
That way you didn't miss anybody going through.
All right, so we'll start, excuse me? Sure, are you okay if we start planning?
I just have one quick question.
Okay.
One 30 seconds. How do you opt out? That's my question. As a homeowner, how do I want to opt out? What's my next step?
They're not giving you that choice.
There's a form, but they're giving you what you don't want.
So if you're not getting Central Hudson involved, that's the elephant in the room.
PSC, we can't order Central Hudson to do anything.
Exactly.
What we're asking is the PSC
Public Service Commission.
to order this.
Yeah, but if Central Hudson doesn't agree with that, according to them, the train has left the station. How do we stop them from coming on our property and not doing that? That's the key question.
You can't.
So this could be an academic exercise because they could.
All right, next, let's go next.
Yeah, okay, so why don't we go with,
Does that scream of illegality to anyone? You know, I mean,
come on up here so we can.
that you can't ask somebody to not come onto your property. It just baffles me. It's not the America that I grew up in, that's for sure. Okay, let me speak up a little bit here. My name is Christina Charles. Though I am grateful that Mr. Panza has attempted to draft an opt-out resolution, unfortunately, it falls short of protecting the public properly from Central Hudson. And it does not reflect the will of the people. He did not mention a no-fee opt-out, leaving many people unable to consider it as a real option due to financial constraints. He also does not specify that the opt-out meter has to be a non-microwave digital meter. It also does not serve as an antenna for surrounding utility meters. Furthermore, he does not mention non-digital analog utility meters, new or refurbished, as the opt-out meter on the table. His language is vague at best, leaving Central Hudson free to roll out the digital meters by any of their varying names. And Mr. Panza also did not mention about the nefarious Trojan meters with fake analog faces that still microwave us without our knowing. The resolution by Smart Meters Woodstock, however, is comprehensive in its language with clear definitions that leave no room for Central Hudson to impose their biologically altering DNA damaging radiation devices on our homes should we choose not to opt in. I implore you to pass the People's Resolution by Stop Smart Meters Woodstock that clearly protects the public as opposed to Mr. Panza's, which falls short of protecting the public. Furthermore, it concerns me that Mr. Panza, who has ties to Central Hudson, would be the one writing the resolution to protect the town from Central Hudson. This to me feels like a conflict of interest and furthers the point that we need to adopt the People's Resolution from Stop Smart Meters Woodstock. If possible, thank you.
Steve, could you remove your hat? Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Romine with Stop Smart Meters. I thank Mr. Panza also for putting together an effort to approach this subject of no fee and analog meters. Thank you, Ken. And but unfortunately, it doesn't go far enough. If you heard the two resolutions, it's pretty clear that the other one has an incredible amount of detail and covers a lot of bases that situations we can run into. Jeremy Wilbur, who I've spoken with on this issue recently, before he went, took a leave, stated when I tried to talk to him about cell towers, he said, well, we've already visited that issue. So that's the mindset of the Woodstock Town Board for the most part, is that once it's done, it's done. And we need to visit this issue and take care of all of the items that are in our resolution that cover all the bases. So please, look at the facts. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Steve.
Make a point of clarification though. It's my understanding, I haven't talked to all members of the board, but it would be possible to vote both. I think one goes further than the other. I don't think, it's not necessarily either, it could be either or, but I don't know if it's necessarily either or. But that'll be decided. I don't know whether it's necessary that you have to pick one or the other. And
Okay, Roger, has the floor.
Hi again, my name's Raji Nevin. I live in Woodstock, New York. Most of you know me from the past 2 years of us holding meetings every month, once a month at the Woodstock Library about this issue. We've spent literally thousands and thousands of hours educating ourselves and trying to educate the public in this town. I just want to say that, Steve and I didn't have to do any of this. We've done it to try and help people. That's our agenda. That's our only agenda, is to help people who are getting sick, who don't want these meters on their home, who are noticing they're being forced and not being told. So we don't have any hidden agendas here. That's what we've been fighting for. We're just trying to educate people and give people a choice. The choice that people are being given, hopefully as a result of all this work that we're doing and lots of other people in this room have done with us, is to get an analog meter with clear definitions of what that is, which we have in our resolution, which is not in Ken's resolution. In fact, if you were paying attention and you reread, what he defines as a digital meter has plenty of loopholes for Central Hudson. That's not what we want to do. And secondly, it's not just about the fee, which was stated by Mr. Panza in the beginning when he was giving his prelude. It's not just about the fee. There's something else I want to say about the fee quickly, and some of you have already heard me say this. It's not that people don't want to pay the fee necessarily. A lot of people would be willing to pay the fee. The problem is that's very short-sighted and tunnel vision. One person pays a fee, they opt out, all their neighbors look at it that aren't educated, and they say, I'm not going to pay a fee, don't even talk to me about it. It makes it 10 billion times easier for us to educate people to take the opt-out if there's no fee attached. That's the main reason for not wanting a fee.
And what is that, by the way?
Oh, this is a radiation shield. It's organized, it's crystals and metals. It's kind of a little science project, but it actually helps for electrically sensitive people. I make them quite large.
She'll put out
to
Okay, I just wanted to go over these the definitions. They're
A
so,
little louder.
they're so important, the definitions that are a part of the
There's a
people's
whole bunch of them
resolution.
up here if people want to
Right.
have definitions. They're back here.
Okay, so the point that I want to make is that they cover all the loopholes. Steve's mentioned this before, and it's, let's see where I'm going with this. Okay, so these definitions were not just produced by Steve, Raj, and myself. 17 people from around the country worked on this. People from Smart Meters California, people from Smart Meters in Michigan, and Wisconsin. These were lawyered up. These were to cover every single contingency having to do with this particular issue. And by the way, in California, they've had a long time dealing with this issue. So today, it was rather perturbing when I got an email from Thread. It said, from Ken Panza, he said, we took a careful look at Raj's and Steve's resolutions and its definitions. Our conclusion is the definitions used in the resolution are quite sloppy and inconsistent. So my question is, did Mr. Panza consult with you, or was he talking to Central Hudson? How did this conclusion come about?
I'm an electrical engineer and qualified to evaluate definitions of electrical components. I'm not a lawyer.
Okay,
It's obvious lawyers did do your definitions.
Okay, it said, we took a careful look, so it was just you took a careful look.
Well, the whole board had it. I don't know, I can't say they looked.
Okay, so,
I'm assuming they did.
well, all right, so that's my point, that I have a feeling that the elephant in the room is Central Hudson, and that they're driving the town board resolution. That's my, just in it.
What board is it, Canada? Same.
Thank you.
So, no, we're going middle.
Does anybody in the next row want to
Second
speak?
row?
I think we're going from this end to that end. So Iris's row, we're doing Iris's row if anybody wants to speak.
Anybody want to put their arm up?
Okay.
My name is Tara Ryan. I actually live in the town of Kingston, but I'm a native of Woodstock. As I said, when I was here last time, I actually just got over cancer, and I'm a very, very healthy person, dancer, blah, blah, blah. I lived in a cottage for 1.5 years that had a smart meter, and boom, I got cancer. So did my dog, by the way, and I forgot to mention that last time.
Wow.
I can tell you that now that I've been through this experience, I know more about it than you do. And that's the case every time you go through a new experience. You know a lot more about it than most other people unless they've been through it. The same goes for Steve and Raj. They have been through this. They have suffered this more than any other person in this town and on the East Coast. And because of it, they have been without electricity for 2 years, right? 2 years in there. And so because of that, they have had to learn to live their lives without electricity because they have not been able to get it. And so they have studied, learned, worked very, very, very hard with so many different professionals to be experts in this field. I think it is so silly if we do not, as a town, take their advice on this resolution.
Why don't they have electricity?
That's
Paul was next.
I'd like to point out to the town, 800 people in this town have signed petitions that support the resolution that Jay has presented, which came from the smart meter people. If you people on the board vote against 800 people in this town, I ask you all to resign, because you're not watching out for the best interest of the people of this
I decline at this point. Okay.
Okay, we're on the third row. The lady in the plectrum. Me? Yes.
Come on,
please.
Tony.
That's Tony.
Sorry. Tony Wiedenbacher. I think that we have a couple of things happening here. First of all, I don't want anybody to even think about demonizing Ken, who I think has worked very hard on this, but that said, I like the one that Jay read better. It seemed to be a little bit clearer, and it seemed to be pretty obvious that we as Woodstock were saying, no messing with us. Now, we're living in a very awkward time right now, all around. We're becoming the surveillance country in the world. Everything is being watched. The TPP, if they pass, will give everything to the corporations. Woodstock has to practice to saying no. And this is a great thing to practice on because none of us want it.
I got a little concerned when I heard the thing about, well, maybe we could adopt both resolutions, because I think it's very important to make sure that we are really clear. I think our definitions in the smart meter resolution that was read first, I think that is the resolution that makes it crystal clear and gives us the most protection. So I think it's really great that we've had all this work put in for the first resolution, but I say let's adopt the people's resolution and just leave it at that.
Okay, third row, we're going from Jones End across. Oh, we have a volunteer.
Yeah.
My name's Abby Mitchell. I live in Woodstock, and I want to support the people's resolution.
Thank you.
Okay, third row, anybody going? What is Randy?
I'm not going to waste the time to go up there. Everybody can hear my voice. I like the town board, and I don't want to think of you guys the same way I think of the New York State Public Utilities Commission. The last time I've seen the kind of unanimity was when hundreds of people went down to Kingston and 2 other meetings of the Public Utility Commission to oppose the sale of the same utility that we're now battling against to Fortis of Canada. The Public Utility Commission just ignored the largest amount of people that they'd ever seen in this area on that issue. I can't think of a time, certainly since I've been in Woodstock, that anybody's come anywhere near to having 800 names on a petition. Listen to what the town and what the town people and your electorate are trying to tell you, so that we don't have to think of you with the same contempt that we think of the Public Utilities Commission.
Thank you.
Good evening, Town Board. My name is Terry Bernardo. I live in the town of Rochester. I'm also the former chairman of the Ulster County Legislature. I have 3 points that I'd like to make to you tonight. The first is that not everybody who is sensitive to electromagnetic radiation is the same. There are people that are allergic to peanuts, shellfish, and bee stings, and there are people that are not. So there may be people that say, oh, this is not a problem for me. But there are people that it's just like bee stings, shellfish, and peanuts that it's very, very serious for. And even the people that think they are not sensitive to it, maybe they don't know. Maybe they're having heart palpitations and they don't know that it really could be their cell phone or Wi-Fi or any other kind of wireless transmission. My second point is the mere fact that there are Trojan utility meters out there is a problem. Yeah. The third point, you are addressing your resolution, and I would like to suggest to somebody on the town board that you make an amendment to your resolution to also urge the New York State Legislature, which is the Senate and the Assembly, and then also Governor Cuomo, to take up Stop Smart Meters New York has been working on a law that is the New York State Consumer Health, Privacy, and Safety Consumer Protection Act. The New York State Legislature will trump the Public Service Commission. The New York State Legislature writes laws for all of the residents of New York State. Once they pass those laws, the Public Service Commission is bound to enforce those laws. I applaud all of the town board members for putting these resolutions forward. I know it's not easy to write them, and I wouldn't sweat all of the details too much because, as you know, yours is not going to be binding tonight. But what you do need to do is somebody needs to make a motion, somebody needs to second an amendment to also urge the New York State Legislature to take up this matter. Thank you.
Laura?
Yes.
I move that we accept gratefully the information supplied to us by...
Okay,
in terms of that amendment to the...
Okay, are you're going to recommend the amendment to both resolutions is what you're proposing?
I second that.
Any discussion or?
Well,
do you want to talk about it
why
later?
don't we also, I don't know why since we're talking about this for the moment, I'm not sure why we're sending this to Joel Tyner. He's not in our district, he has not. But I would suggest instead of sending it to him, and I was going to talk about this afterwards, that we should be sending it to the governor.
Well, yeah. Joel Tyner is mentioned in both resolutions.
Yeah. So we're sending it to make him feel happy?
It's polite.
I would say we should amend it to send it to the governor.
As well, the governor
I
and...
think that's what they just did.
Well, I think two things. I heard the legislature then to have
Kevin
it passed...
Cahill's getting it.
Okay, well, right, but, okay, here's what I think I heard Jay saying, what I heard Terry say. I think I heard them say that they want the legislature as a body to be given this, and Andrew Cuomo as our governor to be given this. Giving it to our state senator, our assembly person, is getting it in there, but I think we're saying we want to go at a broader level and pass this to the entire body of the assembly and the body of the Senate. In addition, plus, and I would, friendly amendment, I'm not a voter, you would have to say it, also Cuomo's. If you approve, okay. Okay, so what I would ask is now we have two resolutions that we're gonna vote on later, and now we have a third one, the amendment. No, we're getting there, that's my point.
Let's go back to the floor.
Wait, let me finish. I am the chair, let me finish. So I'm just asking Jackie as our, keeps us in order, to remember that now we have Jay's resolution to vote on. When we vote on the other two resolutions, we're also voting on Jay's resolution, but we're gonna finish the public comment
It's
before.
not Jay's resolution.
Please sit down.
Well,
Okay?
You offered.
Terms are important.
the people's resolution, resolution two, I stand corrected, thank you. Okay, so we were on the third, Randy
Fourth.
spoke last, wait, Randy spoke last?
No.
You spoke, Terry spoke last.
Electronically sensitive, chemically sensitive, any of those things. And I'm not a particularly sensitive person. And I've been having all kinds of symptoms from this meter. Ear ringing and ear problems and cramping and curling of my toes. I mean, I've only had it a few months, God knows. I want to move. I was never informed. So I'm not electronically sensitive. So I don't, I think that's like telling someone who smokes cigarettes, who has emphysema, that they were nicotine sensitive. I think that's a term that's totally being used to fool people, to divert people from the issue, which is that these are harmful to everyone.
Exactly.
You don't have to be electronically sensitive, no one is. After you're exposed to it for a long time, then you're sensitive,
Yeah.
So, anyway, thanks.
Good evening, my name is Toby Stover. I do not live here. I live in High Falls. I am an injured person from a smart meter, and I was compelled to come here. Thank you all for your hard work, and thank you for listening and considering this. I have 4 quick points. I really do believe that the Woodstock smart meters people, all of these people have put a lot of research and experience into this, and I really feel that we should all go with this, not just your town, my town as well. I really feel that this is the one that we should adopt, or you should adopt. However, to say, I want an analog, but it's okay for that guy to have a smart meter, means all the dirty electricity from your neighbor is going to come in, and it's going to piggyback in. So it's not enough. A resolution is not enough. You need a ban. You need a law.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You need to make it illegal
That's
in your
right.
town to
That's
have
right.
a meter for anyone.
That's right.
Because
That's the ticket.
this lady that just said, well, I can't deal with it or I'm sensitive, it is hurting everybody.
That's
The
right.
third one is
Just like
the
fracking.
fourth one, just like fracking. You
Just
can't
like
say, I'll have fracking there, it's gonna affect everyone.
Make it illegal.
The fourth thing is, because it's harmful and because it's dangerous, it is also a violation of civil, human, and environmental rights.
Yes.
Not just a health
That's right.
problem. So it has to be done.
Hello, my name is Michelle Hertz. I'm from Westchester County, and I'm the director of Stop Smart Meters NY. And thank you all. You people in this town have gone further than any place else in the state to bring attention to this. There is one correction I'd like to, or just one thing I'd like to add to the people's resolution. In the non-transmitting digital utility meter definition, in the second sentence, it says it is an electronic digital meter, and I would say that may or that can be the basic platform for the advanced transmitting smart digital utility meter system. It also doesn't have to be. There are non-transmitting digital utility meters that are not the basic platform for smart meters and that are injuring people. The definitions in this resolution are key. They should not be left out. I don't know why the definition of smart meter would have been left out. If anybody were to Google the names of any of the meters that are being used in New York State, they're all types of smart meters. A Con Edison engineer actually told me that the AMR meters, which are also ERT meters, are just dumb smart meters. So that's what the engineer told me. So again, thank you very much. I just want to also say that I hear from people across the state. From everywhere that the meters are, people are getting sick. It is tragic. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're still on that row. Anybody else on that row? We're on the next row.
I would like to thank Ken for his good work. I didn't like the comment about him being connected to Central Hudson. I think that's not quite plain fair. However, I think that Central Hudson has a lot of influence in general on this subject. And Steve and Raji and the rest of the smart meter folks, Weston, have done an enormous amount of work on hammering out the details. This is a couple of years of PhD level work that they've done on this. And Steve made it very clear, these aren't just their definitions, these are definitions that have been worked out across the country. So I definitely support the people's resolution. Thank you, Jay, for reading that.
Anybody else in that row?
Hi, I'm Nancy Buck-Ross from Bearsville, and I want to thank Ken for doing the work he does, and he always puts his nose to the grindstone and has the patience to get through it. However, in this case, I support the people's resolution and the intense work done by Steve and Raj and Weston. I do want to correct something that Randy said, sorry Randy, that there's a petition with 800 signatures on it. She doesn't think there's ever been a petition with that many.
Maybe.
About a year, not about a year ago, I brought a petition, almost 1,000 signatures. It's now over 1,100 signatures. And this board, Ken and Jay were the exception, this board ignored the voice of 1,000 signatures.
Yes, they did.
The 42 neighbors of Yankeetown Pond are still in limbo. I had to call DEP
We are
to
talking
see
about smart
if
meters.
we had, I understand, I'm talking about ignoring the wishes of the people. 1,000 signatures were brought to you previously, a year later, the neighbors are still in limbo. Please, with smart meters, don't make the people being affected wait. Thank you.
Anybody else from that row? Okay.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone on the town board for their hard work. I know Ken has done a lot of research on this, and he's really worked hard on it, and he's coming around. I support the strongest possible, most concretely worded resolution. I think the added definitions in the resolution that Jay read are worthy of being included in this thing. And we are dealing with an unscrupulous power company. They're called power companies for reasons. They will jump through any loophole. They will lie to you. I can't believe I'm hearing that they have actually made phony Trojan horse meters to put on people's houses. So the strongest possible wording is really needed for this. And again, I thank the town of Woodstock for getting together and really organizing and making this an issue that everyone can hear about and do the right thing. Thank you.
I just want to say, again, you guys all seem to be on the right side of the fence on this one, but a little bit more on one than the other. You brought up the most salient point that we heard tonight. This is all great, but unless this is made into a law, this is just idle chatter. This is idle chatter. Get this before the legislature, have this voted on, otherwise we're all going to have smart meters. This is the only way we're going to win it. Not with you folks, but you're the beginning. Pick one of those two resolutions, the strongest one preferably, and get it to the governor and get it to the legislature and get this town 100% behind it. Otherwise, we'll all have smart meters.
Okay, but are we at the end of your row? Let me just ask first, are we at the end of, anybody else from that row want to speak? So go ahead.
I haven't prepared this, but I think it's important that I mention it.
Speak up.
The manifestations of dirty electricity are not limited to the effects of smart meters alone. About 3 weeks ago, or 3.5 weeks ago, Central Hudson laid down 26 new power cables in a new financial services building a block and a half from my house. 26 power cables. And I've discussed this with Steve and Raj. On that day, I developed severe tinnitus for the first time in my life. It's affected my work as a musician. It's affected my life. It's affected my sanity a little bit. I want people to be aware of it. I found a method that I'm hoping has reduced it to some extent, but it's very difficult and a lengthy process. I'm happy to discuss it with anybody. But I just want to warn the tentacles, you know, the manifestations, the implication of the extension of dirty electricity from all the cell phones and the cell towers and all the electronic devices that are permeating the air and surrounding us. Our manifest and many of them are unknown. We have very severe results.
I've been listening to this, and it's sad and it's heartbreaking. And I think, in addition and in parallel what you're doing, in addition of this law, which I think is a great idea, why don't we have some civil disobedience? And the head of the snake is Central Hudson. So why don't we take this passion in front of Central Hudson? Go to corporate, organize, go to corporate Central Hudson. Find out the name of the CEO.
That's what we should do.
It's the legislature. Yeah, Jay Wendt will come.
Yeah. Handcuffs.
No, I mean civil.
It's the legislature, it's the New York State legislature,
Okay.
that's what.
Whoever it
Let's
is,
go back.
find out this, let me finish. No,
Will you go?
I think it's Central Hudson.
Will you go?
Yes, of course. I will go, and there's a lot of passion here. There's a lot of rationale here. There's a lot of proof here. People are getting sick. Are you kidding me? What's going to motivate you for civil disobedience if it's not the health and welfare of a community? We should get in front of the CEO of Central Hudson. Let them know what the real issues are, and have a little civil disobedience. That's what's
They don't care.
Okay. They won't care.
They're killing us. Anyway, I'm bringing the meeting back. I'm bringing the meeting back.
So the purpose of this is to discuss these resolutions. We can't go around the whole room again, I see you got a hand, if you have 5 seconds.
5 seconds,
No,
really.
no,
It's at the table.
No, come on. It's at the
She
table
just said
now.
about 5 seconds.
But don't come up.
Okay, go on, I'll just sit right here. But I do want to
5
say,
seconds,
because
here.
there have been a number of people who have mentioned possible amendments. I didn't think I could get it under the cutoff, but considering the right to know ordinance that was just passed in Berkeley, California, I just would be remiss in not mentioning this, that we may be needing to do that here. The right to know ordinance says that at the point of sale, that the company has to tell the customer of the radiation that's emitting from cell phones in Berkeley. Now, in this case, it would be with all of smart meters. You see a pharmaceutical ad, you see tobacco, advertisement, and it will say all of the myriad things. If you have, bleeding, if you're, all these horrible things that happen from taking a pharmaceutical drug, or that could happen. Why not mention here the right to know is being violated? The unwitting customer is basically agreeing to getting something that they don't even realize is irradiating them. Like Mary Jo, for instance, her meter is right outside her bedroom. Has she known she got meter, but
Now it's our turn to come back.
But it's a good point, right now is a good point.
Pat
Yeah,
hasn't
I know,
spoken
we're being asked to come back to.
Pat is the last word. She hasn't spoken. We'll let her.
I think in the resolution number 2, B and C are very important. Requiring Central Hudson to have a supply of refurbished analog utility meters in stock. There is a loophole in resolution number 1 that is covered in resolution number 2, because they would say they can't get them. And also, in C, all the meters the types are spelled out very clearly. And I feel like in the first resolution, the term non-AMR meter is used too often, and I feel like that's a confusing term. A non-AMR meter, because it can be digital. Sorry. Those are my 2 specific.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the board has asked that we bring it back to the board. Everybody did get a chance to speak. Some of you twice. Not everybody got a chance to speak twice, I know. But anyway, I'm going to bring it back to the board. We have now, resolution 1, resolution 2. We also have Jay's friendly amendment to add that we send this to the body of the State Assembly, the body of the State Senate, and also Andrew Cuomo. We also have, I heard somebody else asked, I'm going through my notes, that which if somebody makes it a resolution, fine, if not, then it won't be a resolution. But the woman who said that in the non-transmittal definition, instead of saying is, should be, can be, is electronic digital meter that can be a basic platform, blah, blah, blah. If the board not, makes a motion in seconds, then we'll.
That's sort of a journalistic change.
Well, it's up to, if anyone wants to make a motion second, we'll vote on that real quick, I think.
I'll make the motion to change those 2 words.
Okay.
In which resolution?
It was the one, it was in resolution, number 2.
People's resolution.
Resolution number 2, yeah. So I made a note of that, and so I heard somebody, Kathy said nominate, did you say second?
I second.
Bill second. Does the board want to make that wording change?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so we have a resolution wording change, yes, we got it. Okay, the next thing before we go discussing the 2 resolutions, I think it makes sense to go to Jay's friendly amendment to both.
So I'd like to discuss that for a minute. Jay, I support that. I think it's a good idea. I would ask that you table it for tonight, and then what we would do is on Tuesday, next Tuesday, let's deal with these resolutions on Tuesday, bring forth another resolution, and we can find out all the appropriate people that should be, this should be sent to in Albany, and do it then. And I'd be happy to support that motion.
Well, I think I heard a motion to table, and is there a second?
You want to table everything? Or
No.
Just a discussion of taking
Just Jay's amendments.
Well, first of all, back to Jay's amendment, first off. Jay made his amendment, resolution. Did we get a second on Jay's amendment?
Yeah, that was quite a while ago.
Kathy did, okay, so now we have a motion
So
to
no,
table.
I'm asking Jay to consider that.
Why would you want to do it?
Just let's get the appropriate people, let's get the appropriate law so that we can cite that in our resolution. I think it'll be much stronger.
Our resolution, whose resolution?
Hold on. This is the Townboard.
This is a town board.
Very important.
Have the name of the bill, the law for New York State. Do you want it? The exact law, the legislation. Do you want that?
Could we?
I mean, what exactly is your amendment? What exactly is the word?
His amendment would, if I.
Let me hear it in his words.
Terry Bernardino, suggested this to us, which I think is a wonderful idea.
I agree.
And I don't see at the moment any reason why we can't incorporate it right now.
Okay, so what's your wording?
Do you?
That's why I'm suggesting that if we next week we can have a much stronger resolution sending this to New York State, saying that we've passed this resolution and we want the state to act on this.
Okay, if that's the rationale for it, then fine. I'll agree to it.
I'll tell you right now, I'll vote on it next Tuesday.
Okay. Also, I'm going to have another resolution after we deal with all of this. And that is somebody, I don't remember whom, suggested, I think it was Jay Cohen, that we ban it, just as we did with fracking. In addition, when we did that to fracking, we followed it up with a resolution to criminalize fracking. And so there's no reason that I could see why we shouldn't follow up that then with a resolution saying this criminal.
Yes.
But for next week, we will prepare a resolution to forward this to the New York State Senate and the Assembly and the governor. So
we have a motion to table, do we have a second to table?
Jay's amendment.
Okay, all in favor of tabling? Right, just the amendment of adding those names. We're adding them officially, but we're gonna bring that resolution officially to the floor next week to get the right names of who we send it to in the Senate and the Assembly. And we are back at the board, and I am sorry, I know I see hands raised, but we promise everybody to get a chance to speak once, and the board does get to their turn.
Abby, it's up here at the board now. They're not taking comment from the public.
Correct.
I just have a question.
He's just gonna get voted on.
Right?
Yeah, we're about to discuss it, we're about to discuss it. Now, so we have two resolutions remaining on the floor, numbered in your sheets as Resolution 1 and Resolution 2. What we had said was, well, we hadn't said it, but we had agreed as a board, I think we all agreed, I talked to 3 out of 4, that we would, the second resolution read would get voted on first.
So it's resolution number 1.
So Resolution 1 will get voted on first, and then Resolution 2. But both have been made a motion, both have been second. Does the board want to discuss Resolution 1 or Resolution 2
I do.
further?
I do,
I
just a
do.
little bit.
So Jay said I do first.
Go.
We're not.
I don't have it written.
I can tell you once enough. What husband?
Do you want to?
What?
Do you want to go ahead?
I'll go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I thank all of you for all the work you've done and Ken's done and I've done. It's been a lot of work and I think we are pretty much all on the same page. I feel that we all wanted to get a resolution for an opt-out meter without fees. I felt that when Ken did his resolution and I added a few of the definitions, it was the beginning of what we were looking for, a simple opt-out resolution that we didn't have to pay for with the meters. What's happened is I've had a long conversation with Chris on the telephone and reading the emails. Sometimes they are really not very kind. I would really love it if they had a little, at moments, I know you're passionate, but you know, we are the recipients of all this energy coming towards us. And it would be nice if some of the emails were a little kinder. Because it doesn't make it easy, it doesn't make it better for your case to be unpleasant. But I like to disregard, my theory in life is to disregard anyone's bad behavior and to just do what's right. So I'm ignoring whatever I read that was really, I didn't think too pleasant. So, this next thing I'd like to say is I don't think either resolution is mutually exclusive. I think they're both inclusive of each other. I think they both basically have a lot of the same points, a lot of the same not that the definitions are definitely, much more, I don't know what the word is, on the people's resolutions, there's definitely more definitions. But I felt that the therefores and the resolution itself was pretty much the same. Because excuse me, you've had your turn. No? Yes.
Don't ignore it.
Well, you
Please.
didn't speak, but you had the opportunity.
You had your opportunity.
Yeah, the
This is my
opportunity.
opportunity. I've waited an hour and
Yes.
whatever. So I think that there's definitely, I like both resolutions. I'm going to support Ken's resolution as well as the people's resolution. I know some of you may not be happy with that, but I don't feel that they're mutually exclusive. I feel that we've worked hard on both of them. I feel that one will just reinforce the other, and the Public Service Commission will have to deal with both resolutions, and that we will submit both of those to them.
Well, that's not what the people want.
We're back at the board.
It's at the table.
We're back at the board.
That is what,
Is it?
Okay, Jay, Kathy, did you have more that you wanted to say before? Jay?
just basically that.
Okay, Jay, you said you had some comments.
Yeah. And I want to speak right now for the people's resolution. By the way, I had the chutzpah at the beginning when I started to read to declare that the people's resolution was clear and cogent. And I guess I have the chutzpah to say that the other resolution is dense and turgid. There are parts of it that go into details which are later ignored or dropped. And there's no reason to have a lot of prose in any part of it which is discarded later on. Later on in the resolution. For instance, I'll mention what I was reading, that definitions are critical. And I don't believe that there are too many definitions in the people's resolution. I think that there are enough, and that they are accurate, and that they cover all the bases as I understand them. The people's resolution defines Trojan meters, a crucial thing. As Michael Slatsky pointed out, how dare they do a thing like that? You know, build a Trojan horse for us, the ratepayers. The people's resolution asks for manufactured refurbished analog meters to be used in the opt-out program. The people's resolution requires that a supply of new or remanufactured refurbished analog meters be kept in supply. The other one doesn't mention that. These are all things that are particular to the people's resolution.
Yeah, Jay.
The people's resolution has time schedules. Another crucial factor, you know, that doesn't exist anywhere else in the other verbiage. The people's resolution requires Central Hudson to inform the consumer, us, of their right to opt out. The people's resolution was prepared by many people who have been recognized as being experts on this issue. And last but not least, the people's resolution has been endorsed by over 800 people. That's been mentioned before, but I certainly wanted to reiterate it. That's no laughing matter. None at all. And so for all of these things, and without going through the other resolutions detail by detail, I can only say it's turgid, and it's full of verbiage that's not needed. And I hope that the board will support the people's resolution as I do. Thank you.
You did not have anything to add, Ken?
No. I'm going to do the same as Kathy. I'm going to support both resolutions. I think Ken did a good job. I think it's a good, tight resolution. I appreciate, and I said this at the last meeting, all the effort and time he's put into it. I think that there's been some very uncharitable things said about him that's really not been fair. So I will support his resolution. I will also support the other resolution. Jay brought it forward with your help, and I appreciate that.
It wasn't their help, they did it.
And, okay, now I have to table. And I don't see that one resolution takes away from the other resolution. So with that,
okay, well, I get a turn.
That's really nice behavior. Thank you, folks.
I get a turn to speak.
You can't pull the wool over our eyes.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, you can't pull the wool over our eyes.
Hey, it is the
No,
board.
when the
No,
people
we are
are
back
speaking,
to, we
you
are
can't
back to
override
the
the
board.
Joe,
We are
out.
back to the board. We are back to the board.
You are a bunch of sellouts.
Out.
You're selling out the Woodstock people.
We are back to the board. Okay, so.
You can all resign except for Jay Wayne.
So what I have two things I wanted to say.
They sold us out.
Okay, one thing I wanted to say was on resolution number 1, I think there's a typo. In the first sentence, I see the word retrain, which should probably be retained.
It was changed.
Well, but it's in the paper we're looking at, it's.
Yeah, I know, but
Okay.
it can be changed.
Okay, so that's the main thing has been, and I also wanted to comment, while I definitely like the work that people put into the people's resolution, and it's very complete, I also respect the work Ken did, and I'm not seeing conflicts. If both get adopted, I'm not seeing conflicts. The thoroughness of the people's resolution will be going forward. I personally don't see conflicts. of both, and with that, I think the board has spoken, and the question's been asked to be called. Are we ready to call? We're gonna
So
vote
the
on
first,
resolution 1. We're voting on
Okay.
resolution 1 first. Do I hear, how many ayes do I hear?
Wait, I'm confused. Resolution 1 is Ken's
Ken's resolution,
Okay.
which was the second one read.
The second one read, Ken's resolution 1. I heard, how many ayes did I hear?
Aye.
Did I hear Jay?
No.
Okay, we had 3 ayes, 1 nay. I think we can move to voting on resolution 2, the people's resolution.
Aye. I also will vote aye.
Wow, okay, we have unanimous on the people's resolution.
Steve and Roger, I would suggest that you keep pounding away with those petitions and that they all go to the PSC because really all we've done is made a request. It's in their hands now. And that's where it's most critical. And Jay will work on getting a resolution next week so that it's sent up to all. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Tony, thank you.
The way of life, green, beautiful. We have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate. We think too much and feel too little. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness. Without these qualities, life will be violent. And all will be lost. All will be lost. Do not despair. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die. Dictators die. And the power they took from the people will return to the people. Will return to the people. Let us all